So we'll just going ahead with the newer readouts and multifocal IOLs, which regimes is the supreme. We got Dr. Diksha Rani from Krishna Eye Center from Mumbai, and she'll be got a wide range of experience with the newer readouts and multifocal IOLs. Over to you, Diksha.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Before beginning, I would like to thank Dr. Navarosh and Drishti 2025 for having me here. So I'll be talking about the newer EDOFs and multifocal IOLs. So as it has already been discussed that cataract surgery is nowadays not just improving or clearing the visual axis, but giving a refractive correction to the patients. Lifestyle expectations and the refractive targets are another thing which have added to the outcomes. So these premium IOLs, they empower us to customize the vision for each individual. So the what is in addition to correction of cataract, the second target we have is spectacle independence, which everyone expects, the patient as well as the surgeon. So there are certain components of the spectacle independence. The first is range of vision. There are certain formats where the distance vision should be absolutely crisp without glasses, and some even expect a correct intermediate and a near vision without glasses. Appropriate astigmatism control will again enhance the visual outcomes. Refractive outcomes, the margin of error has really reduced. Neither is it acceptable by the patient nor by the surgeon. And again, quality of vision and other unexpected photic phenomena which may reduce the quality of life have to be addressed. So premium lenses have been there for quite a while. There are certain generations into which we can now divide them because now we have seen a long era of these lenses. These lenses began as bifocal IOLs, where the concept of bifocal spectacles gave an idea of using these lenses inside the eye. So these lenses were used, but then slowly trifocal IOLs again came into this game and are now more popular and quite commonly used. But over the last few years, the EDOFs IOLs are taking up. So I'll be discussing a brief optics of these lenses, how they actually work, so that we know what we are implanting in patients' eyes, and a little bit of clinical experience which I have got over last few years using these different lenses. So starting with the history, refractive multifocal IOLs were the first one. This is one of the IQ lenses, Re-Zoom, which was a refractive multifocal IOL. So this IOL has a central part which was for distance vision during daylight and a rim around it for near vision in moderate to low light conditions. And again, we have alternating rings for distance and near vision for different pupil size depending upon the ambient light. So in these lenses, the pupil size has a important role. There is no blend between these zones. So the tendency of glare and halo was very common. And second thing was these lenses were highly pupil dependent. So if patient's pupil does not dilate well in dim light, he would not be able to see near. If the pupil does not constrict in the daylight, he would not be able to see at distance that well. So patients often used pilocarpine at night or a small drop of tropicacil in the daytime sometimes to adjust with these lenses. These lenses soon went out of focus and then came diffractive multifocal IOLs. These lenses have been there for quite a while and are still one of the most commonly used lenses. So these diffractive IOLs have these diffractive gradings or the steps on anterior or the posterior layer of the IOL depending upon the brand. So what do these diffractive rings do is they bend the light. So refraction, there's an optical phenomenon called refraction, which we all know, and diffraction is slightly different from that, where the light bends at the edge. So when suppose 100 lux of light is passing through a diffractive microstructure, around 80 lux of light will be focused at different points and 20 lux will be just lost. So this is the issue with the diffractive IOLs, which led to their disadvantages and issues that we are aware of. So diffractive grating, playing with these steps, width and height, leads to developing different variants of the IOLs, different adds of the IOLs, bifocals and trifocals. So we'll just like to just understand a bit more about them. So the width of these steps determines the addition. If the steps are shorter, that would mean a higher addition like plus 3.75 or plus 4, and wider steps, they give a smaller addition. So there are certain brands which have, like Technis Multifocal has different variants, a low addition IOL, a high addition IOL. So in there, the difference is between the width of these steps. Then height of the steps determines the amount of energy that bends. So higher steps means more energy is bending, more of light is being focused at near. So typically, for example, if the 100% light is going, around 40% is bending for near and 40% is for distance. So the amount of light that bends is determined by the height of steps. So based on, on the same principle, the concept of apodized IOLs was introduced. Like the Alcon Restore was an apodized IOL, where at the periphery, the height of the steps was reduced. So this is a Restore IOL. The peripheral steps were shorter, like this. So as the pupil dilated, there was less amount of energy which was giving near vision. So in low light, the focus was more towards distance vision. So these were the different changes that were being made by different companies. We had Ecolet design by Technis. We had then this quadrifocal technology by Panoptics, in which there were minor changes in this diffractive microstructure to give different outcomes. So this Panoptics IOL was based on a quadrifocal technology where there were different, you can see the geometry of the steps was such that there were 4 foci, but the 4th foci, which was at 120 centimeter, was redirected to give a better distance vision. So doing this, they reduced the amount of light wasted. So typically 88% of energy was utilized as compared to 80% in standard multifocal IOLs. But now again, Panoptics is coming up with the Panoptics Pro, which again has some new things which we'll soon come to know. Another IOL which is quite commonly used are Zeiss lenses. They have 809, which is the bifocal, and 839, which is the trifocal. So this 809 has a single addition of 3.75 diopters, but they claim to have a range of pseudo accommodation of approximately 5 diopters. They claim to give a functional intermediate vision, but practically few patients still feel difficulty with these lenses for intermediate vision for using laptops, and sometimes they do have to rely upon glasses for intermediate distance, while the near vision is good. 839 model of AT Lisa is a good trifocal lens, but again, because of the diffractive structure, glares and halo is a common problem. Then I would like to just touch upon this Technis Synergy. So Technis had come up with a Symphony IOL, which was a diffractive EDOF lens. So this lens was, again had a depth of focus kind of wavefront, but the structure was diffractive. So in Synergy, they combined that Symphony concept and the multifocal concept and brought this IOL where it was a multifocal with EDOF, promoting it as a continuous range of vision. Again, this was a diffractive lens, and the incidence of glare and halo proposed was less, but again, that is a highly subjective thing. Some patients complain of it, even when everything is absolutely right. So this was a brief discussion of diffractive lenses. Now we come to a new component in these lenses, which is the enhancing the depth of focus. Okay, so in a monofocal lens, the entire light is focused at a one fixed point, usually predominantly designed for distance, and distance vision is good, whereas for near and intermediate, the image is blurred because of poor focus. However, in EDOF lens, what happens is the depth of focus is increased to give a better quality of vision at intermediate and sometimes even in the near vision. So understanding these lenses, like taking this example of Technis Eyhance, which is one of the very popular lenses, the monofocal lens has almost a uniform power all around with just aspheric design. So we know that this Technis monofocal is an aspheric lens. Eyhance has slight change on the posterior surface to enhance that depth of focus. So this hence gives a little bit of intermediate vision, and typically patients who get these IOL implanted do not need a 2.5 add for 33 centimeter, but usually +1 or +1.5 is the add that they usually accept. And most of the patients do read N10 or N8 unaided in a good lighted environment. Similarly, the Rayner EMV, which is another popular IOL in this category, again claims to give a depth of focus of 1.5 diopters. So these lenses are a very good candidate to try monovision, mini monovision or mini monovision, where you can slightly play with the refractive error in both the eyes, correcting the dominant eye for distance and inducing a small amount of refractive error in the non-dominant eye to help with intermediate and the near vision. Second good thing of these lenses is that their tolerance for residual refractive errors is very high. So if a monofocal patient has a residual 0.75, he would definitely need the IOL. Whereas an enhanced monofocal patient, if he has 0.75, he might still be 6 parts despite the refractive error. And even the tendency of adjusting to residual cylinders for these lenses is also high. But these lenses are not pure EDOF lenses. They have now begun to be called as advanced monofocal lenses because pure EDOF contains something called Vivity, which has a wavefront shaping X-wave technology, and there are certain bumps on the IOL which bends the light to create this wavefront and give a slightly better near vision. Technis Pure C is another variant, newer one, in which there is a continuous power change on the posterior surface of IOL, which again gives a better near vision. And Lucidis EDOF is another one which is quite popular now. It has a central 6mm normal monofocal surface and a small button of asphericity, which gives the intermediate and near vision. So just to conclude, these are few slides of eye trace of patients with different IOLs. So you can see the first block indicates the internal higher order aberration. So in Eyhance, it is almost close to zero. Very few internal aberrations are there. Whereas in Vivity, you can see the amount of coma and trefoil is really high. But still, most of the patients are happy with these IOLs because despite there is a lot of scattering happening inside, neuroadaptation usually takes care of it. So time and willing to adapt is a very important component behind happiness after these IOLs. So these are other lenses with Synergy and Restore. Here again, you can see there's a huge amount of internal higher order aberrations with these IOLs. So a small gist of what I have observed in the patients coming to our clinic over last 2 years. So in Vivity, almost 90% of the patients, 2/3 achieved N6, rest were N8 to N10, and 1/3 of the patients used +1 glasses. Same for Lucidis. Only 6% of patients used glasses for near. Again, the average power was +1. And even in Pure C, around 32% of the patients needed a +1 add. Whereas for advanced monofocal, most patients were N8 and N10, but still for prolonged reading, they needed 1.5 diopter glasses. So again, to end it, success of surgery lies in appropriate candidate selection, and pros and cons have to be explained to the patient really well. And one mantra is to under-promise and over-deliver, which always gives you a happy patient. Thank you.